Ever thought about a whole hidden layer of the internet? One that Google doesn't touch.
Mm-hmm.
And what if maybe some of your personal info is already floating around in there? We've looked at several sources to figure out how you might navigate this dark web safely.
Yeah, it's a fascinating concept. Essentially, the dark web is just, well, it's the part of the internet that's intentionally hidden from your standard search engines.
Okay, intentionally hidden.
Exactly. And that obscurity, that anonymity, it's used for all sorts of things. Some good, some not so good.
Our sources definitely point that out. It's apparently vital for, say, journalists or activists in places with heavy censorship.
True. And also used by law enforcement, cybersecurity pros.
But then, yeah, there's the flip side, the illegal stuff that anonymity also protects.
Precisely. It helps to think of the internet in layers. You've got the surface web, Google, Bing, everyday sites.
Right.
Then deeper, there's unindexed stuff, maybe government docs. Research data, not necessarily sinister, just not public-facing. That's sometimes called the deep web.
And the dark web is deeper still.
Kind of the deepest layer, yeah.
Yeah.
Often running on different networks entirely, designed for that concealment.
Okay, so if someone were, hypothetically, going to explore this, safely is the key word.
Mm-hmm.
Where do they start? Tools, I imagine.
Absolutely. Tools and configuration are critical. The main one you'll hear about is the Tor browser.
Tor. Right, I've heard of that. It's free, open source, originally from the U.S. Navy, wasn't it?
That's the one. It's designed specifically for anonymous browsing, and it's your main gateway to access the dark web. It gets you to those parts that regular browsers and search engines just don't see.
How does it manage that anonymity?
It uses a technique called onion routing. It sounds a bit strange, but the idea is layers.
Okay.
Instead of connecting you directly to a site, your connection gets bounced through several volunteer-run computers, servers called nodes.
Uh-huh.
And each step, each node, adds a layer of encryption. So like peeling an onion, but in reverse.
Yeah.
You're adding layers.
Ah, I see. Like walking through multiple locked doors, maybe.
That's a great analogy. And at each door, the information about where you came from gets fuzzier. Typically, it's 3 nodes.
3?
Yeah. An entry node sees your real internet address, your IP, but not your final destination.
Ah.
A middle node knows neither. And the exit node, that's where the last layer of encryption is removed right before you hit the site, but it doesn't know who you originally were.
Wow, okay. That sounds complex, but effective.
It's designed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to actually visit sites on the dark web, you need special addresses.
These are the onion things.
Exactly. They look like a random string of letters and numbers followed by an onion node. You can only get to them using the Tor browser.
And they're impossible to remember, I bet.
Pretty much. You can't stumble upon them or find them in a normal search. You need the exact link.
So how do people find them?
Well, sources mention directories, lists online. Something called the hidden wiki is often cited. But a word of caution. These sites can be ephemeral. They pop up, they disappear, hosting changes, or they get taken down.
Right, makes sense. Now, another thing that comes up is VPNs. Should you use a VPN with Tor? I feel like I've heard conflicting things.
You definitely have. It's a debated topic. There are potential pluses.
Like what? Hiding the fact you're using Tor from your internet provider?
That's one argument, yeah.
Yeah.
It also masks your initial IP address from even the first Tor node and adds another encryption layer. Could potentially help with location restrictions, too.
Okay, sounds good. But
There are drawbacks. VPNs often claim they don't keep logs of your activity.
Claim being the operative word?
Sometimes, yes. One source mentioned a case back in 2017 where a no-logs VPN provider actually did provide user data to authorities.
Oof.
Plus the Tor project itself. They generally don't recommend adding a VPN for most users. They argue it can actually introduce new security weaknesses or points of failure.
So the general advice is...
For most people just exploring, Tor alone is probably better. If you do use a VPN, pick one with a very strong no-logs reputation. But always be a little skeptical. You can't fully verify that claim.
Got it. What about even more security? Sources mention something called Tails.
Ah, yes. Tails. The amnesic incognito live system.
Amnesic?
Meaning forgetful. There's a whole operating system, usually run from a USB drive.
Not installed on the computer.
Ideally, no.
Yeah.
You boot your computer from the USB. Tails then loads entirely into your computer's temporary memory, the RAM.
Okay, so what happens when you shut down?
Poof. It's gone. No trace left on the computer's hard drive. It completely forgets the session. That's the amnesic part.
That sounds seriously secure.
It is. And the Tor project and Tails folks actually work together to improve protection against surveillance and things like that.
How do you set it up? Is it complicated?
There are steps, yeah. Download the Tails image file, use software like Etcher is often mentioned to write it to a USB stick. Then you restart your computer and tell it to boot from the USB instead of the hard drive.
And configuring Tails itself.
The key advice from sources is stick to the defaults. They're set for maximum security. And critically, don't enable the persistent storage option.
Why not? Sounds useful to save stuff.
It might seem useful, but it defeats the whole purpose. Saving things means leaving traces. Tails is designed not to leave traces. It connects to Tor automatically when it starts up.
Okay, makes sense. In the Tor browser itself, inside Tails or used separately, any configuration tweaks needed there.
The default settings are already pretty security-focused, encrypting your data, but you can usually dial it up. In the browser, there's often a shield icon near the address bar. Clicking that lets you adjust the security level. The safest option gives the most protection, but it might disable some website features, things like certain scripts or fonts that could potentially be risky.
So it might break some websites.
It can, yeah. It's a trade-off between functionality and maximum security. Also, make sure HTTPS-only mode is enabled. That forces encrypted connections whenever possible.
Right, always look for that padlock. Okay, so you're set up with Tor, maybe even Tails. How do you actually find your way around?
Well, you can access normal websites using Tor, the surface web stuff. It'll just be slower because of the relays.
And Tor shows you that path, right? The nose it's using.
Usually, yeah. But for content only on the dark web, those .onion sites, you need specific search engines.
Ah, dark web search engines? Like what?
Our sources mentioned a few. Torch is one, apparently one of the oldest.
Okay.
It indexes a lot of .onion sites. But be warned, it has very little filtering. You can easily stumble onto illicit or disturbing content.
Good to know. Any others?
Amiya was mentioned too. It also lists .onion addresses, sometimes with info on whether the site is currently up. An interesting thing about Ami is you can actually access its search page from the regular web to find .onion links before you go into Tor.
That's handy. Are these search engines good, like Google?
Honestly, no. The results are often less relevant, sometimes random. The lack of indexing standards and the temporary nature of sites means it's not a smooth search experience. It can lead you down unexpected paths.
What about regular search engines like DuckDuckGo? Can you use that inside Tor?
You can, and DuckDuckGo is generally more privacy-focused than others. But used within Tor, it might time out sometimes, and it mostly finds clear web results, not the hidden onion stuff.
Are there other tools for checking sites?
Yeah, things like onion lookup, or mention tools to check if a hidden service address is actually live and see some technical details about it. There are even ways to try and index parts of it yourself locally, like a tool called Kindle on GitHub. But sources strongly advise doing that inside a virtual machine for safety.
Sounds like finding specific, reliable information takes effort.
Just definitely. It's not like browsing the surface web. It requires patience and caution due to that layered, often hidden nature.
Which brings us neatly to safety practices. What are the big don'ts?
Number one, probably. Never click links you're unsure about. Seems obvious, but the consequences could be higher there.
Right. And verify sources for .onion sites before visiting.
Absolutely. Try to find confirmation or reviews from trusted places if possible, though that itself can be hard. If you need to communicate, use a dedicated anonymous messaging service on the dark web and never share real personal details. Not your name, email, nothing.
And payments.
Avoid traceable methods. No credit cards. Cryptocurrencies are often used, but even those aren't always perfectly anonymous. Best practice. Avoid transactions if you can, especially if you're just exploring.
What about downloading files or posting photos?
Ideally, don't. Files can contain malware, photos, documents. They can have hidden data, metadata, revealing location, device info, author names. Yeah, dangerous stuff. Keep your Tor software updated. Too vital for security patches.
And the biggest one, probably?
Stay away from illegal content. Period. Understand the risks are real before you even think about exploring beyond the surface.
It really does sound like a double-edged sword, this tension between anonymity and security.
It really is. The dark web throws that into sharp relief.
Yeah.
It offers potential lifelines for free expression in oppressed places, access to information.
But also harbors significant dangers. It's a potent reminder that, complete anonymity online, it's probably an illusion, or at least very, very hard to achieve and maintain.
Extremely difficult.
Well, we hope this deep dive has offered some clarity on how you might approach the dark web more safely if you choose to explore it. Just remember, everything we've discussed is for educational purposes. Any actions you take are entirely your own responsibility.
Absolutely. Caution is key.
This has been Le Podcast de Philippe. If you found this useful, help us reach 1,000 subscribers for more discussions like this one.